everyone. Welcome back to the Indie Show. And apparently my camera just got bumped by the cat as she went off the desk. What's going on? Tonight we are talking Ascender Volumes 2 and 3. I am super excited about this. When I read these the other day, I was like, messaging my group, let's just do it tonight. And that was like a week ago. So I'm not going to waste any time. I'm going to get these guys in here. We got Justin No Good Comics. What's going on, my man?
Hey, what is going on, JP? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Looking forward to this discussion. We got Comic Man Andy in the house. Who's
Andy?
What's good, everybody?
Whoa.
Who's almost at 900 subs. If you've not subbed up Andy, we need to get him there. We need to get him to 1,000 and beyond. This is getting ridiculous. It's taking too long.
I'm going to unsubscribe right now. Nice.
Yeah, go unsubscribe. Definitely.
Where's my tissues for this episode?
Yeah. And then we got some guy that's never been on my channel before, John. Welcome, John. How are you?
I'm here to be crapped on as usual.
As usual.
Now.
Look at Andy's face. He's like, "Oh my gosh, he knows."
He realizes what we're doing.
He's sentient. He's aware.
Maybe. Let's see who we got in this chat tonight. We got X11 Bravo. What's going on? Super supportive in the community. Welcome. Shadow R4T. I'm not sure I recognize Shadow R4T. If I do, if I should, I'm sorry if I don't. I'm trying to remember. We got Andy in the chat. We got John in the chat. We got Justin in the chat. There you go. Deep House. What is going on? So welcome everyone. Yes, we are talking Ascender. So I just want to get into it, fellas. Your thoughts on volumes 2 and 3. Andy, we're gonna start with Andy. We're gonna go catty corner tonight because he's like general thoughts on the 2 volumes. Share what do you think?
Okay, we're just skimming the surface here.
Yeah.
I'm honestly a little upset only now because it's come to my attention. You guys have brought it to my attention that the series ends in 18 issues. They can't
at 18, not in 18, but
yeah. Sorry,
there's only 4 more issues. Yes.
15. Yeah, 15 was out this week or last week.
Yeah, one of them's out. Yes.
They can't deliver the blows they delivered in volume 2 and volume 3 and then clean it up in 4 issues. They just no.
It doesn't seem like it. No.
This was hard hitting. This was probably the most emotional I've gotten reading Lemire's work ever. And I thought Descender was the top of the food chain for Lemire. I'm getting goosebumps. Volume 2 hits home hard. Yeah. It really does.
No.
Yep.
Justin, what about you? What do you think of these 2 volumes?
So I'm loving it. Just absolutely loving everything about it. It is like a reunion of things, and just getting the same types of feels and chills that I've got from Descender, and just again hanging out with you guys and all this this atmosphere just all brings together, as this is it's really just Descender, right? It's just more Descender, which I've talked about before, that going into this, John had dropped some hints that made me think in a different way, that I wasn't sure what to expect from this whole issue. I know we talked about this last time, this whole series, but I was not expecting the characters that we get and we are continuing to get in these trades. So it's been exciting, man. Every ending of this, I'm just like, yes, what, like every ending, every single one. So I'm excited to talk about it for sure.
Nice. John, what do you think of these 2 volumes, man?
I was worried when we read, or when I read issue number 1 for book club like eons ago of Ascender, that it would not live up to Descender. Like Descender has meant a lot to me, and it's been a huge just touchstone for me as far as indie and Image comics. And I'm just incredibly pleased to say this is a worthy successor.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would say that's a great way to put it. It's so different than Descender, and yet it's the same. And the fact that the heart and the way it touches on these people, like it's completely changed the environment that we're meeting these people in. It's the same universe, but these are completely different worlds. Like than what they were used to and a part of before, and yet it is all resonates at the same level. Like it hits all the tones that you would want for a sequel, even though everything going on around them is completely different. It's just, yeah, it's amazing. I can honestly say we're going to talk about volume 2. The last, like, I'm sort of like in the White Whale comic camp of I hate last page reveals. I think they're overdone. I don't think they don't live up to the last page reveal that they're trying to go for. The last page reveal of volume 2, I literally was like, that's easily the most reaction I've ever had to a volume 2, to a last page reveal, I think, that I can remember. Like it was at that moment is when I sent you guys a message. Let's read it. Let's talk about it tonight. I haven't even read volume 3 yet.
Yeah.
Yep. So I am super excited to talk about these tonight. So let's just start with volume 2. Let's see. I'm just trying to think of where.
You got to talk about stuff other than the final page. You have to talk about other things too.
But so good.
Well, let's recall our last episode where we talked about how volume 1 ended.
Yeah.
We were all kind of surmised. We all kind of came to the same thought process at the end. Well, wait, we're dealing with magic now,
right?
And lo and behold, that's exactly how it played out, right?
Right.
3 pages.
Yeah, they basically, it appeared at the end of volume 1 that Andy and Mila got separated, and it appeared Andy was not dead. They give you the real that he's alive or like still breathing.
Yeah, just
injured. A lot of trouble at the end of volume 1.
Yeah,
and so it picks up right there, and basically, the magic, like, oh, you're all better. Now he's still captured, but he was but they completely healed him of the wound.
Yeah,
which is convenient in this universe, like how that works now. Suddenly, if
you can pay for it, right?
It's all about who you know, JP.
Right.
Yeah, all about who you know. Hey, Battle Panda, what's going on?
The second or better half of X11 Bravo.
I think it's better half. Well, let's follow Andy for a minute before we go the other way.
For me, almost half of volume 2 centers around one character, and that is where's her reveal? Yeah. No, Effie.
Oh yes.
Yeah, that reveal.
That for me, half of this book is about Effie.
Oh.
Sorry, do you want me to hold it up?
No, you were holding it up, and then I was late, and then so I'm just messing around now.
For me, so again, Effie's the reveal that she's alive, which we had kind of surmised as well.
They wouldn't have had her be bitten,
right,
if she wasn't going to be alive. To me, I knew she was coming back.
Right.
This is not exactly what I expected. In the way that they brought her back, basically she's one of the vampires that's about to feed on him.
Yeah,
it's the big reveal.
Yep. So the fact that they bring her back, the way that they sort of reveal her, and then the way they kind of bleed into what what is possible for her going forward. I think that stuff I think was really powerful and beautifully done. And again, we get her tragedy happens in volume 1 and volume 2, because in volume 1 we're like, oh yeah, she died. In volume 2 we're like, yeah, she died again. It kind of keeps going. And I've always found her to be a character that I love-hated. There's times when I'm just like, oh, she's so frustrating, and other times that you're like, she's got such good intentions. You really want to like her. And so that part of the story I think was really interesting when you see them as parents and dealing with certain things as parents. And then the flip side of that is a character named Mother, and Mother's journey in this trade is, I almost feel like she needed to be on the cover, because her story is it's like the making of an emperor, right?
Yeah. So we get
an empress. Sorry.
Well, you get both the making and potential fall of an emperor in this volume for Mother. Mm-hmm. But let's stay on Effie for a minute, because the scene So basically, they picks up with he finds her, like he's captured, but he's one of the vampires that's there. He tries to talk to her, and in doing so, basically reveals that they have a connection to Mother and to the little girl that she's chasing, and basically reveals his whole back. So Mother like takes the focus on him, she steals his whole backstory from him. But what we get is after Effie like feeds on somebody, she kind of comes back to herself, like as a vampire. Like once the hunger, she's not completely like mindless vampire once the hunger is controlled. And the scene where she asks him to end it. Oh my gosh. Like, we won't get it. Like, let's just take that scene at face value to start with, and then we'll get into the storage of that. I thought that was, like, so emotionally powerful. Like, the two of them talking, her asking him to free her, and, like, you go from that scene at the bottom, she's like, then free me, make it go away, please. And then you flip the page. Like those two.
Oh yeah.
So freaking powerful. And then they sort of ruin it. like I don't know where it's gonna go, like from here. And that's in volume 3, but like I was a little I thought that was the end. And I felt like it was a good end, but that's just me. Okay, John. I need to drive. I'm not doing a very good job driving tonight. What do you guys think about that whole reveal as you were reading it at face value? Andy.
I'll debate John on this, and I feel like volume 2 was more of Telsa's volume and part Effie and part Mother. We got spun up a lot on Telsa and a lot of her backstory and what had happened to her and a few other characters along the ride.
I felt like it was really those three were the story. And when John said it was half and half, I felt it was like a Mother. I'm kind of with you, Andy. I was like Mother Effie half versus Telsa half kind of thing. But yeah, we'll definitely get to Telsa in a second. But
and then that it's in the first. Let's not forget about Mila and what page is this? Let me hit this up. Page 1, 2, 3, 4. Page 4. That stunning landscape of the boat on the water and her sitting next to Bandit.
Thinking that that they're both gone.
It's a great
scene. That's where it really sinks in for the readers that her dad's gone and she's alone except for Bandit. Pretty much.
At first, they're both gone.
So even though this volume is primarily Telsa and Effie and Mother, they're making Dustin and Jeff are making sure that her and her struggles are not forgotten about at all.
Yeah,
and they're really wanting that to sink in. And that is like I was almost in tears on that page, and if I was almost in tears then on that page, I was definitely in tears on the page where Andy actually sent off Effie. And then I'm with you, JP. I was like, oh. That reels me back in that she's now back just a few pages later, but then my heart was really happy for Mila.
Yeah.
So I was torn. Like I'm like that takes away so much. It was so impactful the way her story ended or pseudo ended, and then they take away from that so much that it kind of like I kind of struggle with loving it and kind of being frustrated with that situation there.
Yeah, I just so that just bleeds into volume 3. But like basically what happens is he stabs her, she appears to be dead, and then but the fact is she's like more machine at this point than person, as she's an in-between or between as they call them. And the machine part of her like basically brings her back. But brings her back without the vampirism, which
it cured the virus apparently.
Yeah,
So why didn't it do that from the beginning?
Why did it take this long?
That's my question. Why didn't it do it from the beginning? I felt like that was very convenient. Like,
yeah.
It was like, oh, I don't know. Like, I'm with John. I really like Effie as a character. What frustrates me is a few of the story points that they've done with her. Like, I felt like that moment with Andy, I felt like should have been the end. Now maybe she's super important to the end game, and that was just their way of curing her. But like, if the machine was going to do that, they could have done that without that moment. I felt like, and I don't know. That was the one thing maybe that I nitpick in this whole volume, or these 2 volumes, is the twist of bringing her back. Like,
Yeah, well, I mean, with the whole thing in the very beginning, in the first couple pages of this trade, when we see Andy come back, as we were just talking about with the magic and everything, to me that was like, okay, so really anything can happen at this point. So most like that already was the thing that triggered me to start thinking, you know, are we going to start seeing more of these other characters? Are we going to see, you know, Effie turn? You know, she's got to. In my mind, I was just more of like, all right, how are they going to go about it? Because like now, I mean, clearly they're just ready to bring back anybody. So if you know, and in an easy way with the fact that there's magic in the world, so and that can do it that conveniently. So I just thought that I was kind of expecting it at that point, just that somehow. But I agree with what you guys are saying. Like very powerful moments towards the end, as you were just showing off the pages with Effie and Andy. And how, maybe we didn't necessarily need all that if we, you know, but hey, that's them making us, you know, a tearjerker, right? And gut wrenching, and just like, and I do like, Andy, what you said about just like you're like, man, did they really need to bring her back? But then at the same time, it's like a very positive thing, obviously, for Mila, and so it's you're kind of pushed and pulled at the same time throughout all this, really. But
so the other part that John talked about is we get Mother's backstory. That, you know, her rise from, what was it called? Weak thing?
Yeah. Kitchen
wench. And basically how witches and magic had basically been in hiding during the whole period of Descender because of the machines and like that kind of thing. And they just didn't have the power to compete when the universe was the way it was.
Yeah.
And how basically her sister was the one that was chosen to lead them to be the important one, and we see her betrayal and how she sees the power for herself. What do you guys think of Mother's backstory? I'm interested to see what you guys think of that. And we also get the reveal of maybe she didn't actually win. Like, sister was, well, we saw in volume 1, like the one ghost witch was like clearly still mad and wanted like the power for herself, which turned out she figured out a way to get back. What did you think about that whole thing? Start with you, Justin.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just I don't know. I feel like there should be a little bit more, should have been a little bit more with some of her backstory with it. I kind of felt I don't know. I don't really care for Mother, and I don't really care for the the whole her whole storyline. I don't know. It didn't really pull me in the way that I've kind of been diving into everything else. But you know, I don't know. I guess I'm just not a fan of the character. Obviously, it's a villain, but I feel like it just didn't really grab me or didn't pull me into this story in general.
Yeah.
The background or anything.
John, what about you?
I will say I felt the same way as Justin when I read volume 1. I was like, she is very despicable and easy to loathe in that way, and has zero charisma, which makes her a villain that you're not like interested in spending time with. She's just loathsome on most every level. And what I love about volume 2 is they found a sliver of relatability inside of her, right? This outcast element. It reminded me of the TV series The Witcher, which I got into last year during COVID and I really enjoyed. There's a character named Yennefer who goes through a sort of similar situation where she's very grotesque and pretty awful and foul, and goes through this like witch academy and gains power pretty impressively. And her evolution, you are watching a monster being born. It feels that way in many ways. And it's certainly true with Mother, that you're watching somebody at their core value is a need to have power.
Yeah.
And that is a nightmare scenario, right? When that's what drives them is a need for power. That's how you make a dictator. And that's clearly what she has become. Then to watch her get her comeuppance makes you feel like, oh, dang, there's somebody like potentially worse than her.
Yes.
Like, oh my gosh.
That's true.
I mean, maybe I was describing myself. I don't know. I don't know.
No, I don't think so. No. Definitely not the lack of charisma. Yeah, she was just like, to me, Volume 1, she was a very flat, cackling villain, one note, ooh, I'm the evil one, kind of like. And I do like that they give her like some depth here. You see where she's coming from a little bit. But she's still, even when she was the weak one, you could see the whole time, she was evil. I mean, this is who she is. And the fact, and her sister, like the real difference is her sister was the arrogant and slightly more powerful, pure evil. Like, so they're still, I'm with Justin, they're still not like really grab me. But Andy, what do you think about Mother and the Coven and her sister and this whole storyline of how she kind of rises to power? And then potentially the fall starts.
So I'll start with how this feels to me. This feels very unlike Lemire in this delivery.
Okay.
This feels kind of rushed. It feels a little haphazard that we're getting this much of her backstory in literally one almost whole issue, right?
Yeah.
Maybe bleeding into another one. Feels very unlike Lemire to do that. So I feel like this was his plan B or plan C. I don't feel like this is originally how he wanted to deliver her and her story, which I feel like the way it was delivered actually takes away from her as a character. I think the way he originally wanted to deliver it was probably going to add more depth and layers to her character.
I feel like, and I think maybe Lemire himself put him in this box as much as anything. I don't understand why this isn't 36 volumes and 30 issues.
Agreed.
I feel like, and we can get into that more, but to me, both with the reveal at the end of Volume 3 and everything else, I feel like this is, like, he's like, well, he said originally, like, it was going to end with the Cinder, and he wasn't happy with it. He had more to tell. And then, so he was going to do a Cinder, but he was going to keep it short. And I feel like he's, like, put himself in this box where he had, like, once he's been writing it, he had more to tell than he thought he did.
Yeah.
And I feel like the whole thing like there is so much crammed into these 2 volumes.
Well,
I feel like we ought to be like through, and I realize there's not a ton of pages, but I feel like in terms of like, this should have been the end of Volume 4 at least. And then like, so, and I think should have been all 5 issue volumes. So like issue 20, and then there should be like 2 more to go. Mm-hmm. Like it's where I feel about the story.
It's a fast read too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think you're right, JP. It's a combination of, I feel like it's a combination of Lemire ending up wanting to having more on the plate that he wanted to deliver. And I feel like the world situation that was 2020 played a big role in that too, that he had to go with plan B or plan C, and maybe they had to trim up. Because I think Ascender took a very long break, if I remember right, like issue 1 or issue 2, like the first volume dropped, and I think they took a big break somewhere in there due to 2020. So I think that changed up their plans as well. As far as the character of Mother, yeah, it's like trying to sleep on a roll of sandpaper. It's kind of like she's abrasive. She's not likable, and I feel like they were gonna deliver her character at least her backstory and build her up over a longer period of time to make it a little bit more impactful. Because I feel like for them to just dump that whole the weakling or week 1 situation in like one issue kind of takes away and makes it less impactful by delivering it that hard that fast.
Yeah, the fact that we get like basically in one issue we get her rise and her sister's revenge all like we're getting the 2 times like it's happening at the same time, like we're getting the review. I don't know, like to me that should have been like multiple issues. There should have been more. Like I feel like it was just rushed. I agree with you. It was a little bit rushed.
Look at the way he delivered flashbacks in Descender.
Yeah,
that's what I was anticipating. Character backstories to be delivered, something similar like that, which it felt more impactful. It felt more layered, and it felt more rich. of an experience in the characters.
Yeah.
No,
I have to
I
say,
will
I'm
say-
glad I'm not alone here, by the way, guys. I just want to say, because when you asked me about Mother and JP throwing me first, I really thought I was like, I don't really have much else to say because I'm just not really, I don't know, it's just not grabbing me. So I'm just kind of relieved to hear, some of the mixed thoughts here on this, that I'm not alone.
I mean, because we do. You get the flashback of her betrayal.
Which is this is issue 9 for those that are trying
Yeah.
to follow along. It's in issue 9. It's all laid out. It's a solo issue almost,
And
which
then
is
it's only,
like
5
he did-
years later.
and he-
You get the sisters' return,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, I don't know. The whole thing just felt super quick to me.
and Lemire did something similar in Descender where he built up characters for a few trades and then gave them their individual issue where it was like, here we got a driller, we got a driller issue, or we got bandits issue and things like that. But yeah, this feels like it's coming earlier in the story, sooner and quicker.
Well, and I feel like she's like a more significant character, or was meant to be a more significant character compared to some of the others. Because I agree.
Than he wanted. I'm saying it came earlier than he wanted. Is what I'm saying. Andy. Is that? It's a problem that some writers. Let's say writers have. Is just sort of blowing that story wad too early, and sorry, I'm derailing the show for JP.
No, and what? No, I'm stunned that you would do that.
Once I lost Andy, I was trying to be subtle about it, and then it was like Andy lost it. I was like, I'm just gonna go.
You weren't really subtle. Subtlety wasn't really working there. Okay,
not my forte either. But so in that way, I feel like it's similar to what he did in Descender, but yeah, the timeline does feel like it's been sped up.
Yeah.
And I would hope that I don't know. I would have hoped that if COVID was throwing them off, that they would just slow down instead of speed up. But obviously he's an incredibly busy, prolific writer.
He is.
And is trying to do just a ton of stuff. So it's complicated.
It is. And we should probably be saving it till after we finish talking about Volume 3, but because we've kind of gotten into the pacing and the overall story arc here. But I just feel like this is he decided. I feel like he decided before he started this that it was going to be this long because he thought that's what he had to tell, and then I just got into it, and it's like, no, it was really the same length as Descender, and it's just or it should have been closer to the same length as Descender. And it's not that it's bad. I just feel like, boy, it would be nice to really dig a little deeper on some of this.
On certain characters, I would say. I feel like it's like you're saying, John. It does mirror some of the stuff from I think of trades 2 and 3 from Descender, and how they did have one-off issues that talked about Driller and so on and so forth, and they do that here with Helda. And some of the lesser focused characters. So I think it still works in that way. But with Mother, I just feel like she's supposed to be this much bigger thing. Right. And I feel like they kind of just gave her the same amount of spotlight as they did Helda, or something like that. And I think that's where kind of the issue the problem is.
Totally.
For that character.
Let's jump back to the other side of the story. And the other character that we talked about, which was Telsa. Who's the other character whose backstory we get here in Volume 2. We find out what happened to her and Quan after the fall, the Descender event. The Harvesters came, and we get what she's been going through and where she's at. And we talked about whether or not her and Helda were a couple, and which turns out they are. And that scene, and I love the whole and where she's at, because she has fallen a long way. She was always,
she was the strong one.
Yeah. Well, she always wanted to project that she was the strong one.
Oh yeah.
So she refused to be vulnerable.
That's fair. Yeah.
Until you got to the moment where she said goodbye to Tim.
Right.
She refused to be. That was her whole thing. Was she wasn't going to be vulnerable. She was, and you get a lot of how far she's kind of fallen and how really the only thing she has left is Helda, and she doesn't want to like get sucked back in. Like when Mila and Andy show up on her boat, and you see that, and then Andy apparently dies. Like as far as she's concerned, and she's now like, here I go again, and it's like the last thing she wants.
Right. But I feel like it like gave her life meaning again in a way that she has this mission.
I think as you get through it into volume 3, I do feel like you can see her taking those steps. But in volume 2, she wants no part of having life again.
She got used to that life of drinking on a ship.
Yeah. Andy, what do you think of? Because you were the first one to bring it up. What do you think of Telsa's side of the story here in volume 2?
I'm glad that they took that time to provide where her and Quan had been and what had taken place. Then where they run to Nairita. I can never pronounce the world names. And then the battle. I really enjoyed them going that far and adding that depth, because it wasn't just about adding depth to her and Helda and Quan. It's just adding depth to that universe, that world, that situation, the vampire creatures taking over. And it's interesting that with all the technology and everything that they had, that they were able to be steamrolled like that at some point.
Well, you think about how far they'd fallen, though.
Yeah, they had fallen that far. Yeah. That brute force Dark Ages is back to take over, and it gets dark and it gets gritty to the point where they are even issuing essentially what we know to be cyanide pills, like it used to be done in World War II, to carry, so that they wouldn't have to live out their lives as vampires after that point. Yeah. And the crazy thing is she carried it that entire time until she ended up in the belly of that vamp whale.
Yeah.
I love that.
The vamp whale.
Oh, the whale. And then
some great
Helda just like cutting her way to her, like, yeah, no, I'm not done with you yet. Like, just.
It's a were whale.
Were whale. There you go. Yeah.
Were whale. I love it.
But I do enjoy the fact that, like, he used the opportunity, as Andy says, to tell two stories. Like, to tell Telsa's story, but also through her because what we hadn't seen is how the universe had gotten like this. Like, and it's really through her that you see what sort of happened and how it, like, how Mother got control and how it fell this far. And like, so I did like the dual storytelling there, even if it, allowed them to move faster. I thought that was really effectively done.
Agreed.
And you get like the dynamic between them through both of them and how they deal with Mila, right? I mean, I think that scene in the very middle of this trade when they're like debating what to do with her, and then finally Telsa just cracks and she's like, "We're not her mothers. When we're off world, then we dump her." And she's just right there watching the whole thing. Mm-hmm. It's a great, well played out moment. Mm-hmm. And these three ladies are basically stuck together. They're trying to figure out how to make this work. And Telsa's running from her past. And I think Helda is like looking at the future, like, what's this going to mean for us? And what kind of a person am I marooned with now in life? Yeah. And Mila's just caught there in their wake. And I think it's interesting.
So ultimately, let's get to the end of this trade and we'll start talking about trade 3, but they get to a ship. They find their way to a spaceship that's kind of been hidden.
Yep.
And they're basically dealing with a ghost, and the ghost gets taken out by some sort of mage, and then we get the big reveal that literally like made me stand up and cheer. Volume 2, which is the old mage that we saw in Descender. Somehow he managed to keep Driller from being taken with the other machines, and Driller's been with him the whole time.
But clearly has seen a hell of a lot of wear and tear.
Yeah. Driller still likes to fight, apparently.
He's all cracked. He's like lost chunks of pieces of things. He just looks rusted over.
Yeah. But he still likes, Driller's still a real killer.
And he hates everything, as usual, right? Driller hates ghosts. Driller's a killer. Driller's a real ghost killer.
The important part about Driller, quote unquote, surviving was, I can't remember the wizard's name. Do you guys remember?
Driller hate Hermans. Yeah, that's right. B. Donovan in the chat knows his driller. I love it.
Bill.
So basically, he was doing a transference spell or whatever spell he was mustering up all of his energy to do to get him and Driller away from the situation that was going on at hand is what saved Driller from being taken by the rest of the machines, because he was he was like in between, like stuck in between as they were traveling.
The mage.
Yep, the mage
pulled him, right?
Yeah.
I wish I could remember his name. He looks like an old toad.
Yeah, I'm looking Mizzard.
That's it.
Oh, Mizzard.
Yeah. And so that's where volume 2 picks up, and we pick up in volume 3 right with them like basically trying to talk their way onto the ship with Telsa, like, we're here, and the mage gives the big reveal right off the bat that the reason they're there is he's looking for Mila, and that because she has big magic. So what do we think about that reveal? That
she's special.
That she's special, yeah. That she's not just average kid of, Andy and Effie, that there's something actually special about this kid. What do we think about that? John, you seem very deep in thought, so.
I mean, it's perfect and poetic, of course, that the surviving love story of the original storyline would be somewhat half human, robotic, and have some connection to the mystical. It's like all tied into the two of them, which it makes sense if you look at Effie and Andy. I feel like they clearly have connections to all aspects of this universe. And I think there's always been more to Andy than we really got. Yeah. So if you want to think of it from a genetics side, I think that there was always more to it. So yeah, I mean, this story is clearly about a human as the deity, if you will. Right. Whereas the first volume had the robotic android Tim as the deity child.
Interesting thing of why was Tim 21 special compared to the other Tims? Because we saw the other Tims. Why was Tim 22? Why was special compared to the other Tims? Because there was 22 of them. Was it because he was special? Was it because Andy made him special? Like, what was it that made him so it'll be interesting to see what kind of reveal we get from this.
Totally.
Because we'll get to Tim here in a minute. Before we get to the end, but I do love the other thing I do love here is when Bandit jumps on Driller because Driller hates everything, and he's like,
"Yep."
But Driller he's like, Driller never thought he'd see another bot again, especially not little Yippee bot. Driller's happy. Driller almost missed Yippee bot. I don't know. That just made me laugh. Those two interacting again because Driller's like, I'm actually happy, but I don't really want to admit that.
Well, that's what made me think of like just that word, like a reunion, like just seeing everybody and the excitement of them, certain ones coming together again. And the fact that, I mean, they're kind of the only two last robots that we know of together now.
So I kind of I jumped back to a different part, but Andy, we'll start with you. What do you think of the reveal of Mila having? You were pointing at me when I said what I said about. Well, was it John, Tim or was it Andy or what?
This is twofold. This answer is kind of twofold here. John hit the nail on the head. This is a very yin and yang, right? If Descender was the very robotic deity, very metallic aspect and robotic aspect of this universe, then Ascender is the very human and organic side of it. Mm-hmm. And Tim being the deity of Descender, you get Mila being the deity of Ascender. Yeah. And the bridge that connects the two is Andy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Tim was created. Andy's the bridge between Tim and Mila. And if Andy's got big magic in him that he didn't know about, he plays a role in Tim being as special as he is. This is why I'm very upset that this series is not going to be longer. There's so much more to explore here.
Yeah.
And I'm getting goosebumps thinking about where this story could go and how much more they could add to it. But this is This is very, very well thought out. You know what I mean? This isn't a run and gun issue to issue where he's creating it in his head. He built this some time ago.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, to answer your question, Mila having big magic in her brings balance to the last half or the last portion of what is this universe, right? There's a balance in the force.
But you, Justin, what do you think of this? Mila's the chosen one.
Yeah, I think you guys are spot on, and I agree, Andy, with everything that you just said. I mean, I'm pumped for it. I think that it's great for her character, and I think it makes sense especially with what you just said, Andy. Just the kind of yin and yang, the balance between the two of them, and yeah, kind of asking that question of what did make Tim 21 so special when we had other things like Tim 22 and so on and so forth, and what is that one. What's the word? The one factor that kind of ties in between the two of them, and Andy is the one there, and the fact that they brought Andy back after almost dying, clearly he's got to stick around. So, but I think it's good.
Like Andy and Effie are nearly indestructible.
yeah, they got all kinds of secrets, and Andy knows people, so
yeah, they apparently and that is kind of we get basically them leaving the planet, and we get then we jump back to Andy and apparently taking Effie out to bury her, and then she comes back. What were you guys thought? We talked about it a little bit. I'm just curious, really, what were your guys' thoughts about that? Because for me, I don't know. I didn't feel like that was the one part that was just like, it was like, well, I'm not done with her just yet, so we're going to bring her back. And like, why did he turn her into a vampire in the first place? They just get separated. Like, right. And him think she was dead. And like, or her think that, like, they think they were dead. And like, I don't know. I just feel like it robbed some of that moment, like within the second volume.
Agreed. The delivery of the art on point, though. This was heart-wrenching to watch him ride that steed out, going out into the glade or the opening, and then it goes back and forth from him digging her grave and carrying her to basically you're looking at what's left of her heart, and how it's dead. And then you get to that last page and the colors become more vibrant, and then the machine side of her heart kicks on with the lights, and you see Andy there, and his world is basically crumbling around him. And it was almost the hand punching through the ground and scaring Andy was almost so over the top, comically not right in this situation that it felt like it pulled away.
Yeah.
Because look at the 3 pages before that are so heavy and so not orchestrated, but it was like watching a symphony. You know what I mean? Like if you ever listen to a symphony in the buildup, you're seeing that happen on the page in the form of art on a page, and then all of a sudden there's that, and it's like it's like a CD just skipped. You're like, whoa, wait.
And like if the machining part was gonna like kick in, why did it take till?
Right.
I don't know.
Maybe it was using dial-up to connect. His outdated version.
A little delayed. Andy, I think you're spot on with that description that you just said there, especially with the CD skip, because I can totally picture this, and even just now as I'm looking at it, where it really is so, it flows so well. Even the pages before that, as he's carrying her, and they get the close-up of her face, her eyes are closed, the heart is out, no lights or anything, and then out of nowhere, I mean, the hand that just kind of pops up, it does kind of pull you out of it. I was kind of hoping that they would just, I mean, at this point, again, I was kind of sold that she was coming back somehow, but I don't know. I guess I agree, JP, that it was definitely abrupt, and certainly it ruined some other aspects of what we've seen before this. But I wish that they could have done it. I guess I don't know how else you could have done it, but I guess with magic and everything else, I just would have assumed that it had, they would have done it with like magic or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, and I do think that part of what they're doing there, because you say they could have done it with magic, is to a certain degree, what they're selling is that, at least for me, is that the magic and the tech are not actually all that different. Like that they're, sort of two sides of a very similar coin. And we're going to get to that, I think, with what's going on when we get Tim. But and I do think that's something that they're doing there. But what do we think about this side mission that Andy and Effie are sort of on now? Like they've found these villagers and they're now freedom fighters, like on a very small scale, like very separate from Mila and Tulsa and their journey. Like, what do we think about just that whole side of the story? John, you want to start there? Or what do you, I feel like you're.
I mean, I don't know what I was going to say. I feel like the story is similar to Ascender in that you have characters scattered, and the Lemire is doing a great job of kind of like splintering factions and then bringing them together. We get Kanto, who we haven't really talked about yet.
Yeah.
The like Casey Jones of Descenders universe.
He's hunting vampires, he's got his. I was just waiting for a hockey stick. I
love the look of the character, and so for those that don't know, this is Kanto, the character we're talking about right there. He's like, so I don't want to get too close to the microphone. Hello. So there he is, all geared up, looking like Casey Jones, jumping in. It's not that Kanto though, X11. It's spelled with a K, and he does refer to himself in the third person a lot with Kantos. At first I was like, is his name Kanto or Kantos? I can't figure it out. Yeah. But the book on the back uses the word Kanto, so I guess it's Kanto. But so they get in with this guy Kanto, and then now they're being chased and protecting his village kind of at the same time. Like it feels a little like a Mandalorian episode where it's like, okay, we're at this village now. We got to protect this.
Now we got to fight for it. Yeah.
Let's go do this thing over here. Yeah.
So I don't know if that answers your question. I will say that there's a ton of little detours, right? A ton of little detours for characters. And I never felt at any point that they were like superfluous or unnecessary. Yeah. It always feels like important.
And if Descender is a guy, he finds a way to bring them back together, like in a way that makes sense and works. It's just, I don't know.
That's because he had two more trades.
Yeah.
Added into
the whole thing is like, as I read that, and I read the like in this little mini fight for this village, and I'm like, there's only 4 issues left. Like, they gotta like fight for this village, and then they're gonna still find a way to get back to Tim and Mila, and like who are in outer space, and like the only thing I can think is like. Because obviously they were in outer space, and I feel like Tim and Mila are going to be like coming back to Samson, because that's technically where Mother is, but that's not where Mother is all the time. Like Mother jumps around all over the place, so like I don't know, like that's the whole thing. So I did spoil the thing. Like we get the reveal of Tim, and we get it in the middle of the book when basically the sister, who's now back and like sort of running things. Against this does not make Mother happy. Like gets a reveal of who is the mage. There, John's got it up before I do.
I was ready for you, man. I'm always ready.
That is like running thing.
One of the best colored panels or splashes.
Look at the sky.
So good. The purple,
the blue. How it,
And
Mother's.
I'm sure we'll geek on Dustin Nguyen at the end here again.
Yeah, we'll definitely.
Because the guy is on. I've marked the spread page from volume 2. That's like. Bonkers good. It's one of the best spread pages in all of this whole run.
But like, and she's like, Mother's just like, well, it's just a boy, and she's like, the sister clearly the smarter one, like, it's like that's no boy, and like, so we get to reveal that he's out there, and then I'm going to just skip ahead.
Yeah, so Tim is the android from Descender, and we haven't seen him in any of these issues all the way here into Volume 3. But this was our first glimpse that maybe the little android deity god boy who had like been the impetus of most of the action in Descender is still out there somewhere achieving some goal, with some master plan in mind.
So, yeah, and the other thing is, like, we get, ultimately we get Mila and Tulsa and Hildy, like, arrive at these coordinates that Bandit's trying to get them to go to, which is basically this big planet.
The map.
And from there, they walk through a door. And I'm gonna jump ahead. We'll talk about some of this stuff, but we get that takes them back to the original mining colony, and we get Tim and Bandit.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like, I mean, they already kind of like teased it, obviously, by showing him earlier. But what did you guys think about the way they brought Tim back into this? And I am completely out of focus. Andy, we'll start with you this time. What do you think about how they brought Tim back into this?
This felt a little too cut, dry, and fast for me. I do like the reveal at the end of issue 11 in the middle of volume 3.
Right.
Where they find out that's not just a boy. That was really cool. And then all of a sudden you're there. It's like, oh, what happened to the journey about getting there? There didn't seem to be, you know what I mean? It was all of a sudden there's the reveal and bam, here we are back on the mining colony, like really quick.
Yeah. And so this is going to go back to the pacing of this, because I do feel like I feel like it should have been 6 volumes again. Because I feel like Mila is starting her Odyssey, her Hobbit, her Lord of the Rings journey here. And they go from, like, Gandalf saves them from the Baldur, and they come out and they're at Mount Doom. I mean, it's like, oh, look, it's Mount Doom right there. And it's like, wait, no, the journey's just starting. It's like,
so it sounds, if you're watching, like the main complaint is that we're all feeling like that we're getting robbed of more. We just want more, which obviously it's a very flaccid complaint, but it's a complaint nonetheless.
That joke really let me down.
Sorry, little limp.
A little limp on that one. Yeah.
What
about you, Justin? What did you think of the reveal of Tim in this volume?
Well, yeah. So I like that they showed him earlier, and then we didn't really get him till. But again, like you guys are saying, I think it's happened way too fast. I mean, I keep looking at this one particular. There's one particular scene of seeing the portal. The actual magical portal, and it just happens all within that moment. It's just like a snap of the fingers, and they're essentially there. I don't know. Yeah, it's just like, I guess maybe either I wanted more build up before we got to that point, or maybe more build up after. I mean, I guess I don't know how that would happen after. I don't know. Obviously I'm excited that he's, they're connected again. They're all back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as you guys are pointing out, it's definitely, we're, feeling a little robbed in the fact that we only have 4 issues left now, even so,
Wait till you read the next one.
Oh, God.
So we're coming up on our hour already.
Wow.
Oh, man.
I know. Is there anything else? What are the highlights from Volume 3 you guys want to talk about? Anything
I just wanted to.
We haven't talked about really wants to bring up.
I just wanted to bring up Quan. What do you guys think of Quan being?
Thank you, because Quan's literally just a hologram inside of a machine now.
Yeah, he's.
I'm trying to get the reveal of Quan. I'm trying to find that.
Yeah, right there.
So
I've already got you, man. What are you doing?
John's got them all marked.
Yeah, there you go.
Usually I do, but actually I didn't this time. I was just ready. Yeah, Quan is like a floating. I don't know.
It's like a glorified flashlight
Hologram.
that's pointing upward.
It's like he's just basically legs and a
Yeah, for those unfamiliar, he was the like scientist who designed and created elements of Tim, and over the course of Descender became less human and kind of lost limbs and became more robotic as he went along. And now apparently is like robot legs and a projector now.
He
That's
really
like his
embraced
entire
it. Next level.
Right.
He's gone
yeah,
all the
totally
way.
embraced it.
I was beginning to wonder, Gore. I hadn't seen you. So glad you got here toward the
Gore?
end.
Every Lemire book.
Henry's list of some. Yeah.
I agree. Almost everything I've read by Jeff Lemire, when I get to the end, I'm like, damn, there's no more?
Yeah, Gideon Falls. I was like, ugh.
I am not done with Gideon Falls. I've actually never read past issue 1, and it's sitting there waiting for me this summer. I've got so many great Lemire books ahead of me that I've never enjoyed.
Yeah.
Because I'm just waiting, you know? Ascender, I'm now caught up. I've got Black Hammer, like, I'm going Black Hammer bonkers. If you didn't see my Instagram today, I'm Black Hammer bonkers these days.
I just bought this. I
have never read Sweet Tooth.
Yep.
No.
Gonna dive into that. Just came out this Wednesday.
Yeah. Sorry, didn't mean to derail us here.
We very often derailed, so it's okay. So yeah, the Quan reveal was interesting because when he first lost a limb and they replaced it with robotic, he was mad. Like he did not appreciate that. And then the fact that now he's just like, I'm full machine, baby. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I've always wanted this. Yeah.
That panel in that series of panels in Descender where he lost his arm was probably like the most horrific.
Oh, graphic.
Yeah.
Graphic.
Yeah.
Disembodiment kind of, or you just, oh man.
Well, and then you follow it with then he's lost the lower half of his body, and he's got robotic legs. He's clomping around.
Yeah, yeah.
Not to spoil
a lot of parts during Descender.
But if you're talking about this series as evolution and the change, he represents the through line of humanity all the way through to machine. He is the arc of from one spectrum to the other. He gets to experience the whole thing. And
a lot of what happened in Descender was his fault because he saw machines simply as tools.
Mm-hmm.
He's the Gaius Baltar of Descender.
Yeah.
And for those Battlestar Galactica fans, that was for you.
So it's just funny. He used and abused machines as tools, and now he is one. And it is a very interesting arc for him. Yeah. Anything else in this volume you guys want to talk about? Andy, you got anything else we haven't discussed that you really want to make sure we do?
Buckle up for the next couple.
You've only read one more. Come on.
I've read one more, and we're gonna enjoy it. We're really gonna.
October is when the trade comes out. It's
the final trade.
Yeah, I looked.
I will say there's a lot of setup for what's to come. Yeah. With Mother, with the alien race. I can't remember what they're called. The Krishna.
Yeah, the Nishians.
Those guys.
I don't know if that's how it's pronounced or not. But.
And their culture and what they're planning to do. Their mysterious.
Were the ones that at the end of the Cinder, Tim had basically talked the robots down, and then the Nishians are like, destroy them.
Yeah, they're buck wild. And then you get the ghosts planting visions in Mila's head of Telsa's potential death and some very dramatic things ahead for those characters. So there's a lot of good setup here for future issues.
Again, I feel like there should be 2 more volumes, at least. But because I feel like the reveal of Tim is more of a end of the middle act, and the fact that we're only getting 4 issues seems like a really short third act. If that's what the way you're thinking about this, but I don't know.
Funny, you haven't said anything about that all night. That's weird.
I know. I know. I just want more. I just love this story so much that I just want more. And my complaints with this volume is the only complaints I have with this versus Descender is I do think the pacing's off a little bit.
Yeah.
I do feel like at times it's rushed. Otherwise, I think it's fantastic.
Show off that great 2-page panel, John, that you were bringing up.
Let's from a Dustin Nguyen's art because it's just amazing.
Let me move my mic a little bit over here. But this is the one I really love when Mother reaches into to Andy's mind and kind of looks back at the history of what happened in Descender, and you get
Andy and Tim at one end of the spectrum, all the way through to Effie and Tim and the birth of Mila. It's all kind of happening, and then the Harvester right in the middle, and then the creepy eye right there. I just love. There's so many cool little bits.
Because her looking in at it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
It's
just
like
absolutely
a Star
stunning.
Wars movie poster.
It's
All the different things going on,
and I love the fact that they have these big white sections on the ends, like it's just like a strip in the middle. You know.
Yep.
That one, and then of course the cover for the return of Driller.
I went back to Dustin's website, and that original art is no longer on the website for sale.
He was selling that cover.
Yep, the original art for that cover, because I wanted to buy it, but
what did it go for? If you don't,
I don't know if it's sold. It's just not on the website anymore, and it was over $5,000.
I mean, worthy, absolutely worthy.
Of his, it was funny because I seen a thing that posted that he was going to post like a bunch of stuff, and I went and looked at the prices. I was like, yeah, I would hit the lotto maybe, which he can get it. So
Bill is asking for the website. I think it's just, isn't it?
I think it's just
I think it's on his Instagram. He's got the link tree or whatever.
Yeah, I think you can just go to the link tree on his Instagram and get to it. But
I'll post it really quick here.
I think it's like Dustin Wynn. I think it's just like his name almost. Like if you type his name in, I think it'll come right up.
No, because it's tough because there's an actor with the same name.
Oh,
it's
that's
Dust right. 005. Here it is. DUSS005.com. That's it.
Oh, I'm not a wrench. Oh boy.
You're not a wrench?
My bad.
Everyone's a wrench on my channel almost.
I put it in the private chat, JP, so you can copy and paste it for Donovan.
Oh yeah, I just threw it in too.
Because I'm always in StreamYard, so I need to go in sometime and make you a wrench, Andy. My bad.
Yeah,
is it just Dust005?
Yeah,
I'm already in there. Let me do it.
Oh, I just sent it back to the private chat instead of the comments. I'm smart. John beat me.
I realize I should be the one doing it. I have all the dang things open.
Yeah.
I still beat you. Oh, you got big cartel. You got the big cartel. I just did the main, but the store is right there. You just click over to the store.
No, that's not the updated link. That's the old one.
That's the old one. Good. I'm glad JP did the right one then.
Copy and paste the one in the private chat on. This is his old site.
I did.
Yeah, JP put the correct one in.
Yeah.
There you go.
The one you sent me, I put in there. So either one of them's in there. So surely somebody can find it. But
yeah, some of his Batman stuff.
Yeah, a lot of his little Batman stuff.
And I think we should bring it up every time for people that are not familiar, but he does watercolor. And I know that for some traditional comic book fans, it's a little off-putting and a little takes a little time to get used to. But I think we all have repeatedly sort of said that it so perfectly fits this narrative. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, it's just stunning work, really top flight.
The detail. And he's not the only one, because people like David Mack, and there's other watercolor artists that can put a ton of detail into watercolor. But I just some of the you think of watercolor as more abstract shapes and that kind of stuff. And no, it's just super detailed still in places. And it's just amazing what he can accomplish to me. I'm looking.
I was gonna say it's not even just the fact that it's watercolor, but truly his ideas of how he lays things out, like the panel that you were just showing, John, purposely leaving the white spots on the corners. It does so much. Even the moment of seeing Effie and Andy back together, the background was essentially blurred, and all you saw was just them, very focused on them, and this orange, beautiful, background. But it just worked so well. I don't know, just the decisions he makes, I think, is huge, and that's what separates him too.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, when I first opened and looked at Descender, I remember being sort of like the stream. I was like, I don't know about this, and just every page, it just sucked me in, and it's just so well done. I'm so
Yep.
So glad you guys took me into reading this, this whole series. I'm just, I can't wait for volume 4, and yet I'm dreading it because there won't be a volume 5.
Yeah.
Well, like I was saying when we were offline before, I could see one direction being, and I don't know if this would still be enough or not, but them finishing up this fourth trade and then doing what they did with Gideon Falls, where they actually released another issue after all the trades were completed, and that issue is basically its own trade in a way. It's not as thick as a trade, but it's still more than just one single issue.
It's like 38 or 40 some odd pages. It's really long.
I thought it was a unique way to go about it, because that's not involved. That's not included in any trade now. Now, like if you want to buy all the trades, you still have to buy that one issue, or you buy a full hardcover or compendium or whatever.
I don't know. I'm just hoping that like about a year from now, 18 months from now, he's like, I got more to say in that universe. And they go back.
We get Resender.
So, yes. Look at Andy. Andy's like, Resender. I like it.
Yes, absolutely. Resender. The plot twist will be it has to do with the USPS and how they can't send anything out properly the first time.
Okay, so final thoughts on these two volumes before we kind of wrap this up. Justin, we'll start with you. What are your final thoughts on these two volumes? Man, I cannot.
I'm still very excited. Like you guys are pointing out, it is a little nerve-wracking to think that we only have so much left, but I do love the direction that he's going, and even just the general concept of what this story brings. I'm a huge fan of. Obviously, the artwork, as we talked about, still a huge fan of, and I would recommend this entire run to anybody, especially people who have read Descender and have not given Ascender a chance yet. I think that it is well worth it, and that they should check it out. So
yeah, definitely. Andy, what about you? Final thoughts?
Ooh, I don't know, man. I'm with you guys where I'm torn. I cannot wait to see how the rest of this plays out, but in the same fashion, I'm horrified that there's potentially no more content from this universe coming. Yeah. This is a very orchestrated. It's like watching an orchestra or a symphony play out. When people tell you about going to see a play or see a symphony, and you're like, that sounds terrible, sounds boring, until you go there and experience and actually watch it unfold and the beginning and middle and end and how it's delivered. That's exactly where I'm at with this. This has been a tremendous experience. I do not want it to end. I really don't.
No, definitely not. John, what about you, man?
Yeah, I mean, you guys have all hit the nails on the head. It's a worthy successor is kind of how I'm feeling about it right now. Do I want more? I want a ton more. I want as much as they're willing to produce. I'm really willing to read. So, it's just I want to just soak myself in Lemire Nguyen goodness, and that's kind of what this is again and again and again. Every panel, just stunning art and riveting characters.
Yeah. I agree all together. I really enjoyed these two volumes. I was like, some of the things that happened here had me as excited as I've been like reading comics in a long time. I mean, all you have to do is look at the freaking cover to volume 2 for Dustin Nguyen's art. It's just ridiculously good. Can't wait for volume 4. Terrified that's going to be it actually is the end, and he's not going to come back to this universe. I will remind, I know a lot of people, when Ascender was first coming out, people were saying you didn't really need to read Descender to understand Ascender. I couldn't disagree more. Go read Descender first.
Yes, please do not jump in.
Mainly because you won't understand who any of these people are. You won't understand who Tim is. You won't understand any of the connections.
It won't have the same impact when you see it.
It will not have the same impact.
Like Driller, who's this random robot?
It's a sequel, and all the emotional impact is based on experiencing the first half.
Yeah. So definitely read Descender first. The cat has decided to make her presence felt as we're wrapping this up. What do you guys got coming up? I guess X11 was asking maybe some questions, maybe a couple of questions. I don't know how quick you guys got to get it out here, but probably
he was asking if
he thought that there was enough fan fervor for this series to warrant a sequel. And I mean, I don't hear a ton of people
I
talking
don't
about
hear a ton of people
Ascender.
talk about it. I feel like it's like I remember when they first announced Ascender, and that was before I'd read it. There was a little bit of a buzz that hey, we're going back to this, but I don't feel like I've heard any buzz
Right.
beyond our little group for this
which is a
at
shame.
all, which is kind of disappointing.
Yeah, I've even talked to like other Jeff Lemire fans who have just either not given this a shot or, for whatever the reason is, decided to like a couple issues in that it just wasn't for them because it was just space. It was about space, and they just weren't fans of space or whatever the reason or the excuse was. But I feel like even Lemire fans, a lot of like this is just a lower book on the totem pole compared to a lot of.
It's always Gideon Falls and Black Hammer and I feel like this kind of or Sweet Tooth, which my LCS is insane for Sweet Tooth.
I honestly feel like this trends higher than Gideon Falls and Black Hammer for me. Yeah. I feel like at the end of the day, when this is all going to be said and done, this is going to land at a higher spot than even Gideon Falls for me.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's so much heart in this. There's just so much heart in this book. Yeah, I agree, and I like Gideon Falls too. But yeah, this is definitely up there more than that.
To me, this is like, and it's funny, like. Two of the series that I've read so far on anything that were basically I read because people I trusted were like, you need to read this. That I've heard like some of the least about are Descender/Ascender and East of West, and those have been my two favorite things that I've read. Like since I started reading indie comics. And they're not like their first you can get their #1 issues for like slabbed at 9.8 for like $50-$60, and they're not like
I snagged a 9.8 of Descender issue 1 just because mine I've had people sign it and I was like I'm not gonna send that off, but I was like I was shocked that they're like a $30-$40 book in a 9.8, a black cover, modern. Like
I actually went back recently to look again, and they have doubled now. They're up close to $100 now, at least.
Oh wow, that's what I'm glad I bought when I did then.
Yeah, it's where they're selling for, but even that is still. You know, for the significance of what it means to me, it's still
his name is obviously growing with things like Sweet Tooth and Black Hammer is getting more and more popular with the Justice League tie-in and stuff. I feel like they're continuing to expand a lot there.
Yeah.
I feel like Descender and Ascender could be a really, really, really good TV series, if not like a couple of movie run. Yeah. I mean, like really good. You look at what they've been able to do with the Interstellar, they've got to be able to deliver a really good Descender.
Yeah.
Agreed.
All right, fellas, what do you guys got coming up before we get out of here? Justin, what do you got coming up?
For me, I mean, the main thing is my Comic Collector Origins. I have that this Saturday at 2:00 Eastern. I'll be hanging out with Sparks Comics, Jeremy. So he is the prince of indies, as he's all over the indie scene. So I'm excited to talk with him a little bit. And then at 4:00, 2 hours after that, I'll be hanging out with Victoria, Read Across the Stars, where we will be talking about my first manga book that I have ever read. I actually am still in the process of reading, but we are talking about Full Metal Alchemist for the first time. Nice. So I've only heard great things. She's obsessed with it, so it'll be really more about me, diving in for the first time. But we'll see how that goes. So, but yeah, that's those are the main hits for me.
Nice. Andy, almost to 900 subs, launching your quest for 1,000 soon. Your what was it, Slabaganza giveaway?
Soon the Slabaganza giveaway. But before I get into that, man, I got an email the other day telling me how to read maps backwards. Turns out it was just spam.
I love how
it was nice having you on the show, Andy.
It's not freaking Wednesday. It's not freaking Wednesday.
I love how as he's talking, you already hear a big sigh from John, like midway through.
I did too many shows with this guy. I'm just saying.
Yes, but we are on that journey to 1,000 subscribers, and it's been a long, fun journey. Just seeing the growth, seeing all the people filtering in. I can definitely see the indie fans, as I'm a heavy indie reader, like Sparks Comics. I always see them in my live chats, and it's really cool building these bonds and relationships with people that are into a lot of the same reads and books that I'm into. And I cannot wait to do the Slabaganza giveaway. I'm stacking up a group of slabs just to give away to say thank you to the community. And I even had a seller that I got Saga books from send me 3 Saga slabs to give away in the Slavaganza giveaway.
Whoa.
And he's giving away Saga? Whoa.
I
There will
definitely need a Saga number 1, so I'm going to make sure I'm involved in that.
There will be Sagas.
Don't put me on the panel where I can't win anything.
Yeah,
Be in the
So
chat.
that'll be coming up here hopefully soon in the next couple of weeks. I'll just drop like a quick 7, 8, 9, 10-minute video saying, hey, here's what enter, here's the rules. And then when the channel reaches 1,000 subscribers, there will be a live fun group hangout giveaway situation where it's just like a comment generator or comment picker or spinning the wheel. And the trick will be the people that entered, if they want to win, they have to be in the live chat to win the slabs.
Nice.
We're going to reward the people that continue to hang out with us on a regular basis. And that's going to be a ton of fun. Right now there's 5 slabs. I'm hoping to double that up to 10. So I'm hunting the auction groups on YouTube and other places for cool, $50, $60, $70, $80 slabs, and so I can add 5 more to that group.
Nice.
Very cool.
We'll find you a Cinder number 1. I heard the Cinder number 1.
Descender number 1.
I don't even have one for my collection yet.
Yeah. John, what do you got coming up? Or
This was a busy
something?
a lot. Yeah, a lot of the stuff I did a ton this week. I had pretty much shows every single night. So if you missed, every Sunday doing the D&D with Big Will, and Monday night was Comic Goys. I think it was one of our funniest episodes just hilarious. Like you looked at Lady Fantastic was
Lady Fantastic
a riot, and if you missed it, she was top drawer. And then Tuesday we did a phenomenal birthday Omni X-Men show with Justin.
That was a good time.
Hilariously good fun. a little bit shenanigans, but a really good time. And we only got 2 more of those. So next week I'm on Tuesday. I'm on Justin's channel for issue 130. Then back on my channel on the 22nd for issue 131, and we're finishing that first omnibus.
And that's John's birthday, so it's going to be another
it's going to be a birthday shenanigans show.
Yeah.
And I don't have to work the next day, so I might just finish that stream and start another one and just hang birthday talk. So that's Tuesday, but between now and Tuesday, I really don't have a ton. My summer vacation is starting, and I did not front load a ton of stuff. So I got Saturday morning with the girls, and I got Sunday D&D, and then Tuesday with Justin, and that's pretty much it for like a week and a half. Like it's really a wide open.
Nice.
I'm even going to miss the Wednesday show because of my class's graduation ceremony. So I'm going to be busy that Wednesday night. So I'm taking that off.
Sweet.
But and I dropped a video, my edited video 3 hours ago. So check out my Thor and Loki spec as part of Tag Team Thursday.
Nice.
I forgot that I was live earlier.
Yeah, I have to go back and watch that. I was busy when you were. I caught the last minute of it earlier, but
I thought there was some funniness and some underrated books that I think people aren't really specking on. And anything good, Jason Aaron Thor, I'm like all about.
There you go.
You and I both.
Usual weekend stuff. Working on the look back already, and get that out on Saturday. Should be around this weekend, so there should be a cash crash. There should be a whatever report before we play D&D on Sunday night. Tuesday, we were supposed to have a Gotham City Chronicles on Monday. That's going to get pushed a week because something came up for one of the people. But we're Tuesday, Invincible.
Ooh, I thought you were going to say Usagi.
No, that's not till the week after. So Invincible next week for the indie show. We're talking issues 14 through 24, and this Ultimate Collection numbered Volume 2, which I think there's 2 trades technically collected in that we're talking there. So looking forward to some more Invincible next week. So I want to thank you guys for hanging out. I want to thank everybody in the chat. Deep House, Gore, X11. You guys are awesome. B. Donovan, what's going on? So
Battle Panda.
Thank you all. And we will see you next time.